Welcome to the Guns and Noses podcast. My name's Helen Taylor and I am the owner of Guns and Noses, and I own 3 Labradors. We're here to talk about real moments, real lives, and the wins, the wobblers, and the occasional up yours moments. We're talking about those dogs with enthusiasm and us humans who are trying to keep up. So why don't you sit back, grab a brew, slow down, and listen in. Hello and welcome to the Guns and Noses podcast, which I'm doing slightly differently. I'm actually going to do videos from now on so you can all see my lovely face. So today we are going to talk about something a little different to my usual podcast topics. So today is going to be all about the weather, the dreadful weather. I think I'm losing my mind ever so slightly because I've been on office arrest for 3 days and I feel my mood is getting a little lower the hotter it gets, and I'm getting to the point now where I want it to cool down because I just don't like the weather when it's this hot. I don't like the heat. And some people do. That's absolutely fine. Like, everybody is their own person. And that takes me really nicely into talking about dogs, because our dogs are the same as us. Some like it, some don't like it, some can tolerate it, some can't. Some will lay out in it. But that's very different to doing exercise in it. If a dog goes and chooses to lay out in the sun, they have the choice usually to go and find some shade, or they have a human that says, like, come on, bring yourself indoors. But when it comes to exercising them in it, and they're maybe on a lead or even off a lead. So let me cover both points. So on a lead, they don't have a choice to change pace. They have our pace to keep up with. Whereas when they're off lead, they've got a choice to change pace. But some dogs who are really enthusiastic, and they're the types of dogs that I want to talk about in my podcast, is that they don't know how to slow it down. They don't appreciate that slowing it down really matters. And usually what happens is they go out for a walk and they put their all into it, like they would if the weather was a little less hot, if it wasn't quite as humid. And one of the big things, or one of the big problems about our weather here in the UK, is that we have these real kind of peaks and troughs of weather. So one day or for weeks it's cold, and then all of a sudden we have this heat wave which takes us from like 22 degrees up to the 30s, and our dogs don't have chance to acclimatize to it. And so those dogs who are really enthusiastic, what we find is that they go out exactly the same as what they would when the weather was cooler, and put the same amount of energy into it. And this actually makes me think about my dog Red, who is only 3, and she has got a huge amount of drive. She's got a huge amount of enthusiasm. And we go to agility every Monday afternoon, and she puts her all into it. She absolutely loves doing agility. It's just something that I do with her to keep her sort of, going outside of the shoot season. And what we find is that as the temperature gets warmer, when she puts her all into it, she's absolutely shattered and puffed out after like one run, because she's just going for it. And that's one of the big problems with our dogs here in the UK, is that when you've got these enthusiastic dogs, they don't know how to take it steady when the weather gets hotter, because they've got this sheer drive and enthusiasm. And that's what we want majority of the time from our dogs. So what we have to think about is, when our dogs are off lead, can we control exactly how much they're doing in that off lead time, how much energy they're expelling, and can they regulate their temperature? Well, the answer is no, because they're just not used to it. They've not acclimatized to the weather. But also when they're on lead, we've got other factors to take into account as well. Is our pace of walking? Is there a breeze? Is the pavement really super hot? If there's no breeze and the weather is really still, so I was going to teach on Wednesday, but I got down to the yard to go and deal with the horses before clients came, and it was so still, it was absolutely baking. So I cancelled, but I was due to run the classes. But not only that, it's the humidity that we struggle with as well, and so do our dogs. We've got to think, they've got a fur coat on. Yes, they do shed some of it during summer. They do get rid of a little bit of it, but the majority of them, they are wearing this fur coat. And so we've got to really think about that. So what can we do for our dogs instead of absolutely nothing? So we can take them for a walk early, really super early in the morning or late on an evening. So when the sun goes down, and even sometimes early in the morning, it's still really super hot for them. If they can't settle, what can we do for them to help them settle? So sometimes these long lasting natural chews are a really good idea, because they can give them sort of 15, 20 minutes of just laying down and chewing, but not using physical energy outlet. We can also think about low level tasks. So, not retrieving, not running around, not doing agility, none of those things. We can do scent work with them. We can get them using their noses, and we can do that indoors. So, we can shut them out of a room, go into that room, lay treats around. So you can put treats behind table legs, you can put treats on top of chairs, you can hide them at nurse height as well as on the ground, and then send them in and let them go and seek out that food. And so they're really, really good things that we can do to give our dogs a bit of stimulation, but not overwork them, not over challenge them in this weather. But something else I really want to talk to you about is mood. So, the mood from animals that don't enjoy the weather. So, like myself, I really don't like the weather like this. The same can be said for our dogs, and their tolerance level just reduces quite significantly. So, we have to really think about the normal stuff that we do with them, we are now not doing. So their routine has changed massively. And then we also have to think about their tolerance level when it comes to things like being cuddled, being stroked, being sat on by the children. I mean, that shouldn't be recommended anyway. But, for people who have got these really lovely, adorable dogs who don't mind their tails being tugged and their ears being pulled on, it's not something we should do. But those dogs' tolerance levels may also be diminished quite significantly because just the atmosphere is warmer. Now, last night, everybody in our household went to bed really super early. We hadn't done anything different in our day. We hadn't changed our routine. My husband went off to work, Grace went off to nursery. I was on an office day like I always am on a Thursday. But just the sheer warmth tires us out a lot quicker, and it is the same for our dogs as well. So be appreciative of that. Be appreciative of the fact that our daily routines may not have changed much from us as humans, but for our dogs it has. And also their tolerance levels can reduce as well. So just be a little bit empathic towards them and make sure that they are okay. Make sure that you're keeping them as cool as possible, but also just be aware that their tolerance level may have just diminished ever so slightly. If you're wondering about not only how to keep your dog safe in this weather, but what you should do if something were to happen, in the Insiders Club, I have quarterly guest expert speakers, and my next one is the absolutely wonderful Rachel Bean, who is a veterinary nurse. And she tours all over the world giving her talks on first aid and running courses on first aid. And She's absolutely fabulous, but she can give you ideas on what to do when hopefully nothing will happen, but if something did happen and you needed help to understand what to do, because that's really vital. I think all dog owners should have an understanding of first aid when it comes to their pets. And in the Insiders Club, we have Rachel coming to talk to us in a couple of months' time. If this is something that you'd like to know a little bit more about, I'll pop the link in the description so that you can have a look at the Insiders Club. But there is a chance for you to join for 10% off your membership for the time that you are subscribed. Don't forget, you also get a week free. And that 10% off is for the whole time that you are subscribed for, so your monthly membership amount. And if you use the word club at checkout, you can take advantage of that discount. But until next time, keep training kindly and try to keep up.